What's going on, everybody? So, there's a lot of people online, arguing about SNAP benefits, food stamps. And I mean, to be quite frank, some people just don't know what they're talking about. It's absolutely crazy, fear mongering. And so I'm going to play a couple of clips for you just as quickly as I can because I think there's some very interesting perspectives that I want to show you guys. And then I'm also going to show you something that Jamal Bryant did recently. But number one, the government shutdown really isn't about Trump, all right? It's about Congress and the House. And under the US Constitution, I'm going to just read you some of my notes. Congress controls federal spending, not the president. So every year, Congress, they're supposed to pass a couple of bills and funding that authorize the government to spend a certain amount of money. And the SNAP benefits come from the federal government. Okay. And so when Congress cannot agree, this is what's causing the government shutdown, right? So it's really on Congress. It's not President Trump who's shutting down the government. And because the government is shut down and they can't agree, a lot of government officials and employees, I know in the military, when I was in the military, a lot of times they would talk about government shutdowns because Congress can agree. This isn't the first time. And so then government officials, right, might not get paid. I remember in the army several times they're like, "Hey, government shutdown, we might not get paid. Save your money, things like that." But we always ended up getting paid, and this isn't the first time this has happened. Some of you might think this is the first time this has happened, but this has been a conversation before in the past. But it's important to know that it's Congress, right? And so the reality is, a lot of times it can be pride, it can be ego, right? We just want to make y'all look bad because they know that most people are not going to, do their own research and be informed. And so let's talk about something very quickly. I guess I'll talk about it before I get into these clips, or maybe I should just play one of these clips first. Um, but a couple things I want to hit you with. So there are going to be some proposed changes to SNAP um, eligibility, and then really it's just work requirements. And then the federal government is pushing for the state to take some of the costs. And so the requirement expansion would be that you would have to work X amount of hours. Let me see here. It says able body adults, all right, will require able body adults to meet up to 80 hours a month of work or job training to get SNAP benefits. So they're saying that if you're able bodied, we're not just going to give you government assistance. We either want you working a job, doing 80 hours a month, or doing some kind of job training. So you're not just, oh, I'm going to live off the government for the rest of my life. All right. And then another thing, starting in 2028, states would begin covering a portion of the food benefit costs based on their air rates. Now, of course, some states probably don't want to do this, and that's why they're going to, say whatever that they're saying, but that is what's happening. It's not that they're trying to just take food stamps away. So understand that, okay? Right now, they're saying that you might not get your benefits in November, not because Trump is taking your food stamps, okay? It's because the government is shut down, which that's not on Trump, that is on Congress. All right. That's why they're saying you might not get stamps in November. Now, as far as what they're talking about, making changes to the SNAP program, that is what those changes are. And so, with that being said, I want to play part of a clip and then we're going to go back. I thought what this young man had to say was so interesting. All right. Let's play it.
I don't want to sound like I'm overthinking it because I know a lot of y'all can't keep up, but this SNAP benefit situation clearly shows y'all could not survive a world built off natural selection. If the government really stood back, if they just let everything go and let the world be who they want to be without them, y'all would not survive. Let's say they just only protected us from invasion of other countries, but you have to do everything else yourself. Y'all would not survive the natural selection. You couldn't get your own food. You couldn't keep your own crib. You couldn't educate your own kids. Y'all would literally not survive a world of natural selection. Y'all response to the SNAP benefits is don't celebrate the holiday. Keep your money. Everyone's gonna be affected because food prices gonna go up. Yeah, but this is natural selection. This is how the world moves. Without the government, right? What y'all gonna do when all those wolves start attacking the sheeps? You either gonna turn into a wolf yourself, you gonna follow behind them like a fox, or you gonna be slaughtered. That's how natural selection works. And this one issue with just benefits is showing y'all that y'all are biting the hand that feeds you. A lot of y'all are against the government. You constantly protesting. You constantly talking about them. But then you turn to the same internet where you're bashing them and you're trying to hold them accountable to continue to feed you and put food on your table. They don't have to do that. This is them showing you we don't have to do a lot of the things we do, but they understand the benefits of who they are. And a lot of people take it for granted. You can't be biting the hand that feeds you and then turning around and talking shit about the person who that hand belonged to. It don't make any.
I thought I when I saw this, I said, "Wow, the way that he articulated that and put that together, it's so true. These same people will hate the government, bash the government, but now are crying and complaining that the government will not feed them. These same people that protest and say no kings, they want the government to be a king and feed them. And that's very interesting. He said you shouldn't be biting the hand that's feeding you because they don't have to do it. And the reality, I just think it's more of having an attitude of gratitude and not taking our blessings for granted here in America. People act like America is just the worst place in the world when really that's just so far from the truth. And we are so blessed. The fact that we could have SNAP benefits. And here's the reality, people have taken advantage of it. And let's not act like in the black community this hasn't been a topic of discussion. Dr. Ubar and many others have talked about this a lot, right? And there's all kinds of people on welfare and SNAP. It's not just black, there's all kinds of people. But I know in the black community it's been a point of contention where, oh, the government will be your man. And it's almost set up in a way where it's appealing, right? If you're struggling, I'm gonna just leave my husband, because 70% of women initiate or 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And one of the reasons it's so appealing is, hey, if you divorce your man, the government will be your man. The government will give you these benefits. The government will make him pay child support. The government, and so there's a conversation that's been happening there for a long time. And man, I'm gonna just go ahead and fast forward the clip, and then we'll get to the Jamal Bryant thing, and then I'll come back to this. There's another man I want you to hear what he had to say about it. I thought it was a very interesting perspective that many people might not like to hear, but I think it's a necessary conversation. Let me find it here, right here. Yep. It's kind of at the end here. All right, let's play.
It don't make any sense. Y'all have to pick a new battle. Pick a new fight.
Trump's cutting SNAP benefits. Here's why that might save black families. For decades, welfare rewarded single motherhood. You got more money without a man in the house. This pushed black fathers out, destroyed the nuclear family. Now, women will have to choose partners who can provide, not the government. No safety net means better vetting, stronger men, stable homes. When survival depends on partnership, you pick better partners. The welfare state broke us. Time to rebuild from strength, not dependency.
So we'll get back to these clips. I just want to go quickly to Jamal Bryant, and then we'll come back to all of this. All right. So let me stop this screen and we're going to share the screen because I'm a fair person, right? You guys know what I think about Jamal Bryant. But from what I see, what he did here, I think this is a good thing, right?
Got some praise for our First Lady. Amen. Amen. I've been in earnest prayer, and Friday, the Holy Spirit arrested me, and it really shook me, but I got peace knowing that I was hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. Since March, 300,000 black women have lost their jobs. Knowing that this is the highest unemployment rate for black people in over 15 years. knowing that government workers and government contractors have been furloughed and have not received a check, even while senators and congresspeople are receiving theirs. Knowing that 43 million people are not receiving food benefits, the Holy Spirit arrested me in prayer. I was on a plane headed to Chicago, and the Lord dropped in my spirit, and I want you to hear the heart of your pastor, that I didn't feel in good conscience or in good faith or in good face that it would be appropriate today for me to do an over and above offering. I didn't feel like it would be right to ask people to march down with 5,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 1,000 when people don't know how they're going to pay their rent. They don't know how they're going to take care of their kids. Don't know how it is that they're going to eat. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me.
So as much as I don't really care for Jamal Bryant and even some of the things he was saying there in the beginning, I mean, I think that, man, if you're a mega church and they've given you millions of dollars, why aren't you taking care of the community? All right. Like I said, I don't like Jamal Bryant. I still think he's a wolf, but think about what that says, right? Let's think about all of you guys, right, who are getting ready on here to not listen to what I'm saying, and you just getting your feelings because I just mentioned something positive about Jamal Bryant. Listen to what I'm saying. It's the same conversation I have about how the Muslims are more passionate and dedicated to spreading their religion throughout the world than Christians who claim to be full of the Holy Spirit. So if Jamal Bryant at a megachurch can say, hey, you know what? Today, I know that, I'll be asking y'all to get in the money line and give all this money, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to take an offering up for the people so we can help the people. How much more should spirit-filled believers, right? And those who would criticize, how much more should we be doing? Right. So if a church is bringing in millions of dollars, I think, this is what we should be doing. We should be helping the community. We should be feeding the homeless. So as much as I bash people, I'm not the kind of person, you guys should know this about me. If you do something good, I'll say, hey, that's good. I can be objective, regardless of if I think that you're a wolf or people are human beings, right? There's people in the world that are sinners who can still be capable of doing a good deed, right? And so if we are full of the Holy Spirit, we should be the ones that are leading the charge on that. And that's all I'm saying with that clip. I just thought it would be fair, even though I don't agree with all of his reasoning. And I think that, a lot of times he's just using this to, demonize Trump and white people and Republicans. And, he's mixing his rhetoric there. The Bible does say that where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And so a lot of people in the Christian community, they say that they want revival. They say that they want to change their neighborhood. They say that they want to change their community. They say that they want to see certain things, but they're not willing to put their money where their mouth is because their heart's not really in it. Okay. So that's all I'm saying with that. I know people will twist it and chop it up, but it's the same conversation I have about the LGBTQ and Muslims. The LGBTQ, these people that are out there marching for abortions and marching for Palestine, and we see what's going on with Islam in the UK and other places. How is it that they're more dedicated to their mission and their assignment than believers are? And that's all I'm saying with that. So I think what he did, a lot of churches should be doing that, and it shouldn't just be now. It should be on a regular basis. All right. I don't think that the offering that's coming into the church is so that pastors can be multimillionaires. I don't think that's what that's for. It's okay to take care of your bills and things like that, but I think it should go into the community. So for those of you who are coming in late, right? People are on the internet going crazy. I'm about to show you some videos. Same thing that happened during COVID when everybody bought all the toilet paper. They're talking about, I'm going to go in Walmart. I'm just going to take stuff. And a lot of it is because of ignorance and strong delusion, right? And so, first of all, first thing that you have to know is the government is not shut down because of Trump. All right. It's shut down because of Congress. All right. Every year, Congress controls federal spending. And so they have to come together and they have to come up with some bills that they pass. This is how much we're going to spend. The president can't spend anything till Congress approves, and the federal government controls SNAP and all of that. And so that's why the government shut down. The same way they'll say the military is not going to get paid during government shutdown. Government employees are not going to get paid during a government. I was in the military. Every time this happened, this is not the first time. They say, "Hey, man, we might not be getting paid." We always ended up getting paid, but this is not the first time this has happened. And so the first thing you got to get right is that it's Congress that has shut things down. It's not that people are on the internet lying saying Trump is taking your benefits, right? Your food stamp benefits. Project 2025 is real, and it's just plain ignorant. But ignorance can be dangerous because when you mix emotions and ignorance, you get people on the internet saying, I'm going to run in Walmart with my helmet and my steel toe boots, and I'm going to just start stealing stuff. And it's not even the truth of what is happening. Now, there are some proposed changes that they are trying to bring to the SNAP program, and it's simply this, all right? Um, if you are an able-bodied person, all right, around up to the age of 64, keyword able-bodied, to meet up to 80 hours a month of work or job training to get SNAP benefits, that would be one requirement that they are proposing. So we don't just want you to be living off of government assistance. We want you to show that you are working if you're able-bodied, 80 hours per month, all right? Some people have 40-hour work weeks, so 80 hours a month, that's not ridiculously overbearing. And that um if you're not working, at least you're trying to get some on the job training. You're trying to better yourself. I don't think that's racist. I don't think that's crazy. And that's definitely not what people are saying, that Trump is trying to stop your benefits. Okay. And then another thing that they're talking about proposing a change would be that the state would begin covering a portion of the food benefit cost. So it would no longer solely be the federal government that is providing the food stamps. And of course, a lot of the state, governors probably don't want that. And, they want the federal government to keep paying for it. And so those are the two actual changes. And so those are three things that you should know. A lot of false information out there. So now I'm going to play these clips for you one more time, all the way through. Some very interesting discussions happen online. And I just think it's something that some people might need to hear. They might stumble across this video. And then hopefully you understand the importance of just researching things for yourself and not just believing the false prophet media.
I don't want to sound like I'm overthinking it because I know a lot of y'all can't keep up, but this SNAP benefit situation clearly shows y'all could not survive a world built off natural selection. If the government really stood back, if they just let everything go and let the world be who they want to be without them, y'all would not survive. Let's say they just only protected us from invasion of other countries, but you have to do everything else yourself. Y'all would not survive the
Yeah,
next.
let me just address one thing. With yes, I 100% agree. I heard that the 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. Just to be clear, just in case you stumble across this video, in no shape, way, form, am I endorsing Jamal Bryant. I just look at it from my perspective is, if he could do that, why can't these other churches do it? Why can't we put our money, instead of building this mega $1 million ministry, why can't we make a difference in our communities? That's all I'm saying. It's simplify.
Natural selection. You couldn't get your own food. You couldn't keep your own crib. You couldn't educate your own kids. Y'all would literally not survive a world of natural selection. Y'all response to the SNAP benefits is don't celebrate the holiday. Keep your money. Everyone's gonna be affected because food prices gonna go up. Yeah, but this is natural selection. This is how the world moves. Without the government, right? What y'all gonna do when all those wolves start attacking the sheeps? You either gonna turn into a wolf yourself, you gonna follow behind them like a fox, or you gonna be slaughtered. That's how natural selection works. And this one issue with just benefits is showing y'all that y'all are biting the hand that feeds you. A lot of y'all are against the government. You constantly protesting. You constantly talking about them. But then you turn to this same internet where you're bashing them and you're trying to hold them accountable to continue to feed you and put food on your table.
That's crazy. The same people saying no kings want the government to be a king and feed them.
They don't have to do that. This is them showing you we don't have to do a lot of the things we do. But they understand the benefits of who they are. And a lot of people take it for granted. You can't be biting the hand that feeds you and then turning around and talking shit about the person who that hand belonged to. It don't make any sense. Y'all have to pick a new battle. Pick a new fight.
We are 4 days away with food stamps coming to an end, and these egotistical maniacs in Washington can't figure out how to bypass the government shutdown, which means desperate times are going to equal desperate measures. And as I'm scrolling through TikTok and watching what people are saying, there's a trend going on that people are going to do whatever they have to do to feed their families, which would include stealing from your grocery cart the second you leave the store. This is not a joke. This is extremely serious.
Do you realize how dumb that would be based off of that's not true? These people are getting on TikTok saying, I'm going to steal, I'm going to rob, I'm going to do this. And it's not even true.
To the husbands.
Meaning it's not even true. The reason they want to go steal, oh, you're trying to take away my benefits. Well, I'm going to feed my family some every kind of way, but get a job.
Out there that are working 9 to 5 and you're gone all day, and you have your woman at home, or she's a housewife or taking care of the family, and part of her job is going out there and going grocery shopping. You must have a conversation with her now that she must stay smart, she must stay vigilant, she must be aware of her surroundings. My suggestion at this time is small purchases only.
So what the fuck you mean? Who ain't getting that goddamn food stamps in goddamn November? Cause I'm getting my goddamn shit. I don't know about the rest of you motherfuckers, but I'm getting my shit. Cause I'm gonna tell you just like this, on Jesus Lamar motherfucking Christ, I will be at motherfucking Walmart with my steel toes on and my motherfucking helmet, and I dare a bitch try to stop me from walking out that motherfucking store with my groceries. Baby, I'm 250 pounds solid. Baby, you wanna see a human motherfucking bulldozer, baby?
Filthy, filthy mouth. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
That's what the fuck I'ma turn into if you think you gonna stop me from leaving out that goddamn store with my motherfucking monthly groceries that I get every goddamn month. I ain't bothering no goddamn body, okay? Why the fuck is y'all bothering me and my goddamn food?
So just because I don't want to work 20 hours a week, which is crazy. Can you imagine having to work 20 hours a week? So
people always ask me why I don't edit the cussing out. I feel like people just need to see the ugly reality. I know I don't like hearing it either. It's disgusting, but I think sometimes people they just need to see it raw. They just need to see it real. I think Americans are too busy just living in la la land. It's like we want our life edited, itching ears. I get it. I get it, cussing and stuff like that, but that's just my opinion. Like, nope, just let people see the raw, ugly reality of the world that we're living in.
I don't want to work. You take all of my benefits away. The benefits that you have allowed me to use for 13 years with no warning at all. The government has enabled this behavior for 13 years to where I have not had to work a day in my life. 13 years of almost $10,000 a month in government aid. And now, because you signed some stupid bill that says I have to work if I want to get food stamps, and because I don't want to, you take it all away, no warning. How am I supposed to feed my 6 kids? How am I supposed to support my 6 kids? How am I supposed to pay rent? How am I supposed to get my nails done? How am I supposed to go drive down to the corner store when I have no money for gas? And you want me to go get a job, but you don't want to give me gas money? This is how the real world works? At 35 years old, now you decide you want to take it away?
Wait. So we got lots of people posting on social media that they're losing their SNAP benefits. Oh, they're losing their minds. However, they got the latest iPhone. They got their nails done, their hair done. They got a Louis Vuitton bag. They got money for all of that. But they ain't got money to feed their kids. They want the taxpayers to do that. Well, the taxpayers didn't lie down with you in your bed, spread your legs, and pop out these kids that you want us to pay for.
5 fucking
So man, hold on, let me just show this guy some love because this is probably the biggest. Greetings and thank you, brother minister, truth teller Marcus. Oh, that's that's an extravagant title, my brother. Gotta show some love for your live stream, the concert this past weekend. I was at the one in Chicago and I was wishing it could happen again. Sure enough, y'all snapped again. Thank you. Hey, love you, brother. We're gonna be in Tampa probably in February and then Las Vegas after that. All right. Now, I just want to say something, right? For those of you who are coming in late, this is what that young fellow was talking about at the very beginning. He says some of y'all wouldn't survive natural selection, and the same people that hate the government, hate America, that are out there protesting no kings, right, rebelling against the government, now they turn around and say, no, government, we need you, government, please feed me, government, I'm not going to make it without you. But I thought the government is just this terrible bad. And so, it's kind of weird how people be picking and choosing. And then the flip side of that, you have to understand this has also been a conversation for many years that funds are being abused. I remember growing up, people would sell food stamps for cash. I definitely know that people will, even with the child support system, you're given in some cases. I mean, I'll be transparent. At one point, I was paying $1,500 a month in child support. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool with that. Hey, my babies, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is, some women be out there abusing that money. They're taking that money and they're going on trips. And so they even proposed at one point, they were talking about a debit card that tracks where the money is being spent. And they were getting upset about that. These same people were getting offended by that because the truth of the matter is they don't want the accountability. A lot of people don't want the accountability. And when the government is just giving and giving and giving, you can take it for granted. So in the same breath, you hate the government, but you rely on the government. In the same breath that you say that the government is so terrible and so awful, you wouldn't make it without the government. Your kids wouldn't get an education without the government. You wouldn't have no food in your cupboard without the government. You wouldn't have no health care without the government. And so I just think it's crazy. This is my personal opinion that it's just crazy the way that people have been brainwashed into believing that America is just the worst, awful, evil, wicked place in the world. And they go out there and they protest and they riot, but you're benefiting off of the government. And so I don't see nothing wrong with changing some of the requirements. I grew up, we had food stamps, but my mom was out there working her butt off. If you're an able-bodied person, there's nothing 80 hours a month. That's not anything ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure that if there are circumstances where you just cannot work, let's say you maybe have a bunch of toddlers or babies, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some kind of provisions for that. That's why you got to just stop running with all the nonsense that people are saying online. I ain't gonna lie, when I clicked on this video and you see this lady's eyes, I already knew she was gonna, be doing some kind of fear mongering, weird stuff.
from people going hungry in this country. 5 fucking days from 10%, over 10% of the population going without food in this country. Many of which are children and elderly people. 5 fucking days away from that, and nothing is changing. Nothing is happening. The government continues to be shut down, which again, I'm proud of the Democrats for holding the line, but we really cannot.
Holding the line on what? So there's some conversations about, the Democrats wanting to give funding, to migrants. Matter of fact, let me pull this up because this was something that I was looking into. You guys remember when there was this whole, what happened to all these migrant caravans, by the way? A lot of this stuff be distractions. People say it's paid for by Soros and things like that. But all of it, so there's just no more migrant caravans. There's no more. Notice how this stuff will pop up in the news, right? We had the drones, we had all this stuff going on, and then it'll just disappear and it'll go away, right? Because a lot of it is really just a distraction. What happened, the NBA gambling thing, and they're talking about the mob, being or mafia being involved, but we're only seeing a couple of black NBA basketball players. Where's these mob people getting arrested? And that's what I'm saying. If you're a critical thinker, it's just you can look at something objectively and say this doesn't make sense. You're telling me right? It's all over the news. This NBA gambling, collusion thing, and the mafia's involved. But you just got a couple black NBA players that you're parading on TV, and it's like, wait, where's the mob guys? It just stuff don't be making sense. A lot of it is a distraction. So check this out. I was trying to get some information about how much money is being spent on undocumented immigrants. Now, as far as federal SNAP, $0. All right, if you're an undocumented immigrant, you're not getting SNAP. But as far as health care, all right, it says they put the order of magnitude at only a few $billion nationwide for emergency care. California state funded full scope Medi-Cal, regardless of status, projected at 8.4 billion. In state spending, let's see, Illinois state funded immigrant adult senior health coverage approaching or exceeding 1 billion. The big one was 68.1 billion. All right. Public schools must enroll children regardless of status. Plyler versus Doe, a 2024 House Budget Committee analyst, Republican led, estimated that 68.1 billion based on average per pupil costs for children of undocumented immigrants. 68.1 billion seems like a lot of money, right? And so this is where we get into the America First conversation. We have 68.1 billion. The migrants, we were giving them free cell phones, we were giving them health care, we were giving them these benefits, we were giving them programs to get jobs, right? There was something recently about some trucker that I guess was from somewhere else, and he crashed and ran over some people, and people were questioning how was he able to get his CDL. But why that was problematic and why so many people in Chicago are going against people like Brandon Johnson is because, like, where are you guys finding this money? Okay, you got money for migrants to prove a political point, but Chicago, our schools are terrible, our neighborhoods are terrible. We've got veterans, we've got tax-paying citizens that are struggling, but all of a sudden you can pull all this money out of your butt for a bunch of migrants. That's problematic, and it's okay to ask those questions. A lot of times it's not that the people actually care, right? This was proven when I think it was, Texas and other places, they were shipping migrants to places like New York and these other cities that, they're marching and they're like, yeah, we got to do it for the illegals and things like that. But then they turned them away because they didn't really care. It was more just a political talking point. And that's why the government is shut down. A lot of ego, a lot of pride. We're just not, whatever you're saying, we're going to come to the opposite. We're going to come to the opposite, right? They really want the government to be shut down because the goal is we want to make Trump look bad. We want to make Republicans look bad and vice versa. And it's sick because you got people that is out here struggling. All right. So yeah, they had cell phones for migrants. And so it says the total estimate, it's in the billions of dollars. All right. And most of it on the education. And so, I think it's fair when you look at the rest of the world that, Russia and even in Mexico, they were protesting having migrants from what was it, Honduras, come into their country because it's just kind of common sense, right? When you're in charge, you cannot just take care of everybody. And how am I going to take care of other people over my own tax-paying citizens? I'm all for helping people, but there's a wisdom element that has to come in, and I think it's okay to have that conversation. So now when we're looking at um trying to change the system to make it better, like, okay, instead of the federal government just taking charge of the food stamps, these people who are saying that they really care, right? Because think about it, all these people, like these Democrat mayors and governors, are saying it's Trump, he's trying to take away your benefits. And so what they're saying is, well, let's change it and let's put it in the state's hands. Since you guys say you care so much, let's have you take some of this financial load. And they don't want to do that. And so what they'll sit there and tell you is Trump's just trying to take your benefits, which is not the truth. As we read here, right? They are proposing some changes to the SNAP benefits, but it's not anything that's unreasonable. All right. Work 80 hours a month if you're an able bodied person under the age of 64. And if you can't work, at least be in some kind of job training. So what they're looking for is there's been people who have been living off of welfare their whole life and not bettering themselves as a person. and it has become a crutch. And that conversation was happening long before Trump was in. That conversation has been happening in the Black community forever, how the government has set it up to break up families and break up homes. But because Trump is president, that's why I tell you, you got to do your own research, guys. You got to, study for yourself, because people like this lady, they just be out there just talking crazy and fear mongering. And if you're a child of God, remember, God is not giving us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. God's going to take care of you anyway.
Not feed people. We can.
I just finally got confirmation that food stamps is officially cut for next month.
About 2 months ago, I stopped eating dinner almost every night of the week so that my boyfriend and I could have enough food left over to have lunch the next day.
How are you and your boyfriend working? It's just so dramatic, and it's just fear mongering. Same thing they did during COVID. Everybody went in there, bought all the toilet paper, fighting over toilet paper. So you guys had to skip some meals so you and your grown boyfriend could have lunch?
This was before we were about to lose our food stamps. Mind you, we both work.
I don't think that we really realize.
Let me say something very important, and then I'll play the rest of these clips without interrupting. I really feel like these people are trying to incite some kind of violence. I feel like I feel like sometimes the government knows that it's like what I like to call orchestrated chaos. They know that people are just gullible. So let's tell you that Trump is taking away your food stamps. So you go out there and do some crazy stuff, and there's anarchy and chaos. And that's exactly what we want, because we're betting that you're just gullible and ignorant enough to believe whatever we're telling you, and we can pull on your emotional heartstrings. And in that chaos, now we can push our agenda. Trump's the big bad boogeyman. See, you should have voted for us. Orchestrated chaos, because it makes no sense. Nowhere are they saying that your benefits are being taken away. If anything, they're saying it could be delayed because the government is shut down. They can't come to agreement about funding. And that has nothing to do with Trump. That is Congress.
The depths that this is, the damage that this is going to do, but the women, the mothers, and the families, but the mothers especially, who are going to go without meals so their children don't have to.
I don't want to sound like I'm over.
We played this clip already like 2-3 times, so I'm not going to play it again. You can go back to the beginning of the video. I'm going to play this clip, though, one more time of what he's saying, and we'll end the video.
Battle. Pick a new fight.
Trump's cutting SNAP benefits. Here's why that might save Black families. For decades, welfare rewarded single motherhood. You got more money without a man in the house. This pushed Black fathers out, destroyed the nuclear family. Now, women will have to choose partners who can provide, not the government. No safety net means better vetting, stronger men, stable homes. When survival depends on partnership, you pick better partners. The welfare state broke us. Time to rebuild from strength, not dependency.
So all my cousins in Missouri, y'all entire SNAP benefits will be shut down in November. Nobody will qualify for any type of assistance November 1st. Yeah, they claim it's because of the government shutdown, but no matter how it goes, I'm gonna tell you why you're gonna be able to survive with this shutdown. Okay, so check it. Me, I'm a mom who is very much kept. I didn't want to go to work. Okay, I stayed at home with my kids, 4 children. My husband worked. Okay, so that's a family of 6. We have not had food stamps for over a year. And yes, we pay the rents that you pay too. We have figured out what we had to release in order to gain. Follow me, okay? So if you are new to me, if I'm just popping up on your page, hey, I'm Dominique. Welcome to the Nash House brand, okay? I had my car repoed because I couldn't afford it. I was homeless before that, so I'm not gonna go back to being homeless, right? Right. I gave up the car. Car was $600 a month. The insurance was $400 a month. Plus always putting gas in that mug. Plus maintenance, you feel me? Okay? Where we live at, pay $1,800 a month. I know, asinine. And the place has been up since 1984. But you know what? We need a shelter. Check. But do we really need this car? You gonna say, yeah, because I need to get around. No, you have a bus, a train system. You have Lyft, you have Uber.
Some of y'all should stop attacking the lady in the comments based on assumptions and listen to what she's saying.
In St. Louis, you have Via, which is rideshare. So you're going to have to learn how to get along with people, okay? Then you have your feet. Your feet. God bless you with feet. Walk. Get your fat ass up and go out and walk. Then your hip won't be hurting. You won't be so fucking fat, because I used to be 400 pounds. Now that my ass got to walk everywhere, now I'm 186. But anyway, okay? Not to mention if you ride a bike, a scooter. What's them little things that be everywhere downtown? Is that the scooter thing? Yeah, scooter. Get on them motherfuckers. Y'all gotta stop being dependent on the system, man. Make the decisions to release something so you can gain something else. When I release that car, when I release car insurance, because it's a scam. When I release having to pay personal property tax, because y'all ain't paying them, but y'all still riding around in that car that ain't been registered since 2020, okay? Leave that shit alone. Let that car go. You'll be able to feed yourself and start planning. You don't have to buy food for a month, baby. You only in the day. Wake up that day, thank the Lord. Say, Creator, God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for the magic that's going to happen for me today. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I got this. And God will help you provide and find out what you're going to eat for that day. You don't need to buy food for 30 days, baby, because 30 days ain't promised. Y'all ain't feeling me. You only get one day. Stop thinking about everything ahead, because that provides anxiety. Stop focusing on what's in the past, because that provides trauma. And live in today. That's how you're going to be able to get over that hump. And it only takes 30 days for you to do something for it to be your new norm.
See, that's what we need more of. Now, that's where I can't get jiggy with Jamal Bryant, right? Like, hey, look, I said, look, what he did is good as far as like, we're not going to take up an offering. We're going to take up some money, to help the people. But pastors shouldn't be out there giving people a victim mentality. How can you claim to be a believer and that you trust that God is your provider, right? And that you believe what the Bible says, that he'll never leave you nor forsake you. I've been young, I've been old, I've never seen the righteous forsaken. But in the same breath, you out here panicking. God is not giving us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. But I don't expect people that are not full of the Spirit, that are not Christian, to understand that. And that's why we talk about the practical side and we expose the lies of the false media. Nobody's trying to take your SNAP benefits, right? They're just trying to change it to where there's a required 8 hours a month that you're working if you're able-bodied, or that you are in some kind of job training program showing that you're trying to better your life so that you're not handicapped just because you're going to live off of government assistance for the rest of your life. And the only reason they're saying that you might not get your benefits next month is because Congress can't come to agreement. It has nothing to do with Trump. And those are the facts. And so that's why we address the physical side, the natural side, but then also the spiritual side, because the truth will set you free. All right. God is in control. That's why I've never really gotten too excited, excited is not the word. When people prophesy about 3 days of darkness and stock up and things like that. Listen, if it gets so bad that you have to stock up, if it gets that bad, people are just going to bust in your house and take your stuff. Right. So you got to trust God regardless. You go spend all your money to stock up. People who are desperate, they'll just break in your house and take it. So you're still going to have to trust God anyway. So just something to think about, guys. I always encourage you to do your own research, look into things for yourself. I think that a lot of times with stuff like this, it's just orchestrated chaos. They know that people are dumb. They know that people have they call it TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. They know that people will just, Trump's trying to take your food stamps, Project 2025. Then you get people like we saw that one girl going on the internet talking about I'm gonna run up in Walmart and I'm gonna steal and I'm gonna have my I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna get my benefits. And that's what they want. They want people to go out there going crazy. So, like I said, one more time before I get off this live, in no way am I endorsing Jamal Bryant. All I'm saying is if you have millions of dollars coming into your church and Jamal Bryant can say, hey, we're not going to take an offering up for the church. We're going to take an offering up to help the people of our community. How much more should those who critique Jamal Bryant, who claim to be spirit filled, to claim to really be living for God, how much more should we be doing these things? Right? Think about that, right? As much as you might be like, and Jamal Bryant's a wolf, he's a this, he's a that. Well, if he could do that, shouldn't the church be doing more? Same argument I have about Islam and the LGBTQ. They can go out there and be bold and they can go out there and march and they can go out there and fight for their cause. How much more should the true church of God, who claims to be filled with the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead, how much more should we be bold? That's all I'm saying, all right? So www.marcusrogersministries.org. You want to support what we're doing in Chicago. You know, we are not a mega church. We do go out and feed the homeless. I do take care of a lot of people. I've paid people's rents. I've bought people cars. I've paid for car repairs. I do the little bit I could do with the little that I have, and maybe one day God will give me more. But until then, we just keep grinding. If you have a prayer request, feel free to put it in the comments. But as I would say, don't be afraid. Don't fear. God is always in control. God bless. Good night. Have a wonderful evening in Jesus' name.